So let's get started. So this unique program has two-hour session where first part is going to be focusing on Miller Center and Sopact partnership. So I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a second. There's a very unique approach that we have been working together for last 6 months. We announced this partnership 6 months ago, and we'll like to talk about how social enterprises can really maximize the impact using impact experiments. So the first half is going to be talking about the concept of impact experiments and ultimately the key aspects of overcoming some of the barriers. And so we'll talk about that and ultimately Q&A. This is about 50 minutes or so. So keep your questions going through. I highly recommend that you write the questions in Q&A sections. Feel free to chat. Feel free to introduce yourself. Feel free to share your knowledge into the chat section, but do not ask the question in QA. So in a QA, please ask those questions and also upvote your questions. So we will be handling those questions as we go all together. The second half is going to be really very insightful session that is really moderated by executive directors of Miller Center, Bridget Helms. She will really start about before our sessions altogether. But the purpose of this particular second session is to focus on demystifying what impact measurement and management is all about. And also, what are the roles social enterprises can take to scale? We will talk about various different aspects. Is the impact measurement separate from business modeling aspect of it, or are the same thing? How can social entrepreneur can use impact measurement and management to really improve their successes in a faster manner altogether? Also about some of the different examples, how do we move from proving to improving the impact process altogether? And so we'll be talking about some of the whole host of topics facing the social entrepreneurs, from funding to the how to integrate the process into the pitch, to essentially how to learn from the impact evidence to maximize the impact altogether. So it's going to be a very exciting event. Hopefully all of you will be benefiting. Now, just a minute on this topic of partnership of Sopact and Miller Center. Back in June, we announced a partnership, which is one of the very unique partnerships. There are hundreds of accelerators there, but Santa Clara University Miller Center has this program for over 20 years. And they have been done an amazing amount of works, trained more than 1,400 social entrepreneurs. But fundamentally, one of the challenges that has been facing social entrepreneurs today is really their ability to understand impact data and evidence altogether. And that process, obviously, many of them explains through the standard theory of change-based curriculum, but ultimately does not make it more actionable enough altogether. And when Miller Center reached out to Sopact, we have a platform, Impact Cloud, which is very unique in a way that helps social entrepreneurs improve their outcome through systematic approach by defining the core outcome and focusing on that to understand the key impact evidence processes altogether, and that we call impact experiments. And so this is the first time any accelerators has introduced this kind of program. And I thank you, Miller Center, for this partnership, because essentially you will see that this is a very ambitious process that helps many social entrepreneurs throughout the world. Many of them are mid-level to advanced level social enterprises. It is a 5-year program, and essentially first year was mostly a pilot, where we essentially trained 2 batches of social enterprises altogether. And the first batch was completed about a month ago, and the second one is just about to complete. And we are quite frankly blown away with the results. Essentially, we thought that it is all about designing theory change and metrics. It's nothing like that at all. Obviously, it's one of the core objective of it, but the main objective is to really bringing them through the complete end-to-end impact measurement and management journey altogether. And so I'm happy to announce that we had a very good results. In fact, you're going to see those things for yourself. We have three social enterprises who will be today be representing and talking about what they were able to achieve in a short period of time. Now, remember, impact measurement management is not a one-time thing. It also, impact measurement is also not about measurement at all. It's about continuous learning and improvement process altogether. And so we love to ask Catherine and James and some Safer, where we'll be asking them questions on what did they learn and how are they planning to improve, because this is a continuous journey for them also. And so it will be great for, if you are a social enterprise, nonprofits, this will be a great opportunity for you to learn from them as well. Now, I'm going to go through a very quick introduction of what impact experiment is. Impact experiment is nothing but a very short experiment, typically done within 2 to 4 months time frame. If you look at the traditional measurement approach, it tends to be very year-long, and it takes long time to complete the process altogether. So it is very important that that process is short and effective altogether. And we go through very step-by-step actionable approach, where the key goal is to define the outcomes and activities, understand the data strategy, identify right impact data sources, and ultimately provide a modeling of the data so that you can really communicate the impact based on various different elements. One of the very popular elements is called 5 dimensions of impact from impact management project. Other approach could be scoring-based approach. Third approaches could be essentially bringing data from multiple sources, because fundamentally, it's all about product market fit for the social enterprises. And in order to understand product market fit, sometimes you have to understand the data sitting in your primary applications, secondary applications, and even tertiary applications, so that you can see what are the reasons why product adoption is slow. Are they really increasing wage? Are they finding the places to sell their products altogether? And all those things really requires data and evidence. And in some way, I can argue the fact that business model maturity and IMM are really one side only, essentially. And by using this approach, you will be able to, in a fast track to maximizing impact and scale faster than ever before. Now, the way we do this thing is through a 3-step process. So basically, it was truly a partnership in a nature, meaning that we first designed this impact learning management module, which every social enterprise went through it. They all had access, and they all have access for Impact Cloud for 3 years. Thanks to Santa Clara Miller Center, they have made the Impact Cloud available to all of their selected cohorts, and a toolkit essentially altogether. But that's not all, actually. There is a lot of working alignment that happened. Each social enterprise has one-on-one advisors that also helps them understand the process. Obviously, they may not be expert in IMM part of it, but they can essentially make sure the process moves smoother. Ultimately, in the next year batch, even the most students of Miller Center will also be integrated. And finally, Sopact's customer success team were core to the ultimate success of some of the individual social enterprises. Again, this is a continuous learning for us as well. And so we are also improving our processes as we go and make sure this process becomes even easier and better altogether. And we realize that this is not just limited to the batch that we have went through. And in fact, that's why today I would like to announce that we will be announcing a free Impact Cloud strategy product next year. I don't have exact date for that, somewhere between Q1 and Q2, where everyone who's interested in building their impact strategy, we will be announcing free learning management system so that you can become data ready and start building theory chain, identify outcome, and really start getting to dashboard faster altogether. So the more details to come soon, but fundamentally, it's something that we would like to make sure that nobody should be struggling with the strategy process, but because the real challenges are going to come when you have data. And in fact, you see this example where out of 2 batches, 16 social enterprises went through, most of them actually completed all the way till survey, 75% only. And in fact, all of them had a dashboard ready, which is so surprising to us. And so everybody had a dashboard ready that can be shared not only with the Miller Center, but with their funders as well. Most people we asked, the 2 reasons why they started this journey, because they themselves want to understand impact evidence internally within their own management, as well as they want to change their fundraising strategy, and they can start using that process and communicate the impact to the funders better altogether. Again, let's, as social enterprises, speak for it. Finally, here's a key picture that I would like to share, but I think in the second half, we will go much more detailed. So if you look at all the different social enterprises, they are typically in multiple phases. I call, according to Miller guideline, it is early stage, which are concept and pre-revenue startup, where Miller's focus is on the suite, which is really post-revenue and growth type of social enterprises, and the established. And each of these social enterprises is a slightly different level of maturity with the impact measurement management. We'll talk about those more in details in the second half. So I hope you will stick around and stay with us. And please stick around after this session as well, because you're going to hear a lot of exciting things in the second half as well. So, and finally, next webinar announcement. This is our last webinar of the year. It's been an exciting year for us, quite frankly, and we thank you for support to Sopact. But next year is going to be even 10 times more exciting than what it was this year. So this is our first webinar of the next year, which is getting ready for stakeholder-centric ESG altogether. So please sign up to that one, and we'll give you a very practical and actionable approach on getting started with the ESG process altogether. Again, I want to thank you all the guests that we had this year, and really from bottom of my heart, this is a very exciting a year essentially, and hopefully next year we can work together and collaborate together on many different places, from LinkedIn Live to YouTube to webinar. We will be in touch essentially. And with that, I would like to invite Isabel. Isabel, I'm so excited. She has very passionately been building and coordinating this entire cohort and programs. Amazing amount of program management process. And she has really given every ounce to really make this program successful. Thank you, Isabel. And this is, it's up to you. Please take on from here and introduce your next guest as well.
Thanks, Umesh. Before that, I'll actually hand it over to Andy to say a couple words about the Miller Center and Sopact partnership.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel and Umesh. Just real briefly to welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. And for those who don't know Miller Center for Social Entrepreneurship, we're part of Santa Clara University here in Silicon Valley, with a mission to use the principles of entrepreneurship to eradicate poverty and protect the planet. So like Umesh mentioned, we've been running accelerator programs for about 20 years now, reaching over 1,300 enterprises. And those accelerator programs, many are online, some are in person here in Santa Clara. We've also done programs in about 30 plus countries around the world. So a core to all those programs is that we start with impact-focused entrepreneurs and start with the impact model. And then we work with the entrepreneurs to build a business model and funding strategy, but always leaving the impact at the center. So those things, the business model, the funding, the need to be in service to the impact. It's not like you build a successful business and then kind of tack on the impact measurement. We feel like that's the wrong approach. So we've been doing it for many years. We've always had a theory of change, impact metrics that have linked to the newer standards like SDGs and IRIS. That's always been part of what we've done. But we felt that wasn't getting us where we needed to go, because the demands of the social enterprise and impact investing ecosystem are going up. Like Umesh mentioned, investors are looking for more reporting from the entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurs themselves need deeper understanding of their impact to stay aligned, to stay focused, to keep their teams on track and work with other stakeholders. So the partnership with Sopact has been great. I won't repeat what Umesh said, but it's really synergistic. And what it's letting us do is have better content for the entrepreneurs we work with, better tools, and train our own staff and mentor team. So it's been really synergistic. We've seen a lot of huge progress, as you'll see in the upcoming sections of this webinar. I will put the link to our website in the chat for those who don't know us, if you want to get on our mailing list so that you're notified of upcoming accelerator programs and other opportunities for those entrepreneurs on the call. But without further ado, I want to introduce my colleague, Isabel Miranda, who's going to facilitate the conversation with the entrepreneurs. She's actually an alumna of Santa Clara University and one of our Miller Center Lewis Family Fellows who did action research on impact assessment in Mexico, and then went on to do some work with the World Bank in Colombia on impact assessment, and basically now at Miller Center is leading all of our impact management and measurement work. So thanks all for tuning in, and turn it over to Isabel.
Thanks, Andy, and welcome everyone. This year, I had the privilege to be the program manager for the pilot of impact measurement and management with social enterprises from around the world. This was a 12-week program that we worked with Sopact, working with enterprises to streamline their theory of change, prioritize their outcomes, select metrics that were standard and aligned with IRIS Plus and other frameworks, and then working to consolidate data through stakeholder surveys that they created and build an impact dashboard that they could use to align internally with their team and also share out with external stakeholders and increase their impact investment. So I'm joined today by 3 of the graduates from this pilot program. So I'll go ahead and have each one of them introduce themselves and the work that they're doing. First, Anne, would you like to share about Smart Havens Africa?
Thank you very much. I'm Anne Weyora from Smart Havens Africa, and we are basically a business social enterprise with a mission of providing an affordable pathway to home ownership for low-income households, especially women-headed households, through the construction and use of eco-friendly building methods to cut costs of construction in order to provide homes to these low-income households affordably, but also provide them with a quality, sustainable place that they should call home. And how this is possible is normally through the humane rent-to-own housing plan that helps our clients to pay monthly for a period of 5 to 8 years in order to be able to own these homes and get out of the rental poverty trap. We are so grateful for this program, for it has helped us learn a lot, like I'll be sharing due course of this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anne. And can you tell us a little bit about your theory of change and what were some of the outcomes that you chose to focus on throughout this program?
Thank you very much. Our theory of change was basically based on three major basic outcomes, of which it was, one of them was to increase the homeowners' safety. And this was basically to help us determine the satisfaction of our clients. Secondly, it was basically based on security. And then also, thirdly, it was to study the financial habits of our clients so that they can be able to continue owning the homes with maximum satisfaction, but then also following healthy financial habits that will enable them be able to also develop financially, become independent financial, so that they are able to be very independent financially, and then also be able to provide other basic requirements that they require for their families.
Thanks, Anne. Next, I'd like to bring Catherine to share about her work with Well Beyond.
Thanks, Isabel. Yeah, hi, I'm Catherine Bergman. I'm the co-founder and COO of Well Beyond. And I've been working as an engineer in the international development sector for 8 years. I started my journey with a nonprofit called Well Aware. Well Aware does clean water infrastructure in developing countries, primarily East Africa. And as we know, there's a big need for clean water work in developing countries, and there's tons of initiatives to, get that water infrastructure built. I think the bigger issue and what's becoming more prevalent and more people are becoming aware of is, that these water systems that are being installed are typically not very sustainable or long lasting. Typically, I think over 60% of water projects fail within the first year of implementation. And that's just a statistic that we do not like, and we wanted to change. So that's when Sarah Evans, the founder of Well Aware and the co-founder of Well Beyond, and I decided that we would create an app to help manage and help this cause and help the failure rate of the infrastructure and water system development sector as a whole. Technology in the regions and developing regions is growing exponentially and crazy quickly all the time. I think 70% of sub-Saharan Africa has access to 3G internet coverage. And, more people have access to a toilet than they do, or access to a cell phone than they do a toilet. So we realized that we could leverage that technology and put this information into the hands of the community members that we're serving. So we created an app that includes water system management training, maintenance checklists, diagnostics and troubleshooting, all into the hands of the community members that these water systems are serving. So it not only helps them manage and maintain their systems, but it helps them report issues and keep the systems up and running for longer and as much as possible. For our theory of change, we really wanted to make sure that all of this data that we're collecting and we're reporting on is used in a good way. And so this back end of the metrics and reporting will help the NGOs create more sustainable solutions and minimize the downtime of the systems and save on overall project costs. So people aren't sending maintenance people or paying lots of money for service industry professionals to get out there and then realize that it's a simple fix, like a leaking pipe or like just a simple disconnect of a float switch. So our tool really helps manage all of those different types of things, but we really need to know, use that information to help clients and other NGOs establish trends and use that data in a good way. And that's really where this IMM tool has really helped us out and moved us forward in seeing the overall picture of these projects and making them more sustainable and lasting for those communities.
Thanks, Catherine. And what was one of your motivations for jumping on this pilot?
Oh man, there were a lot. We actually were a part of the Miller Center women-led cohort and accelerator program, and we just had a great experience there. And then, you know, as I mentioned, we're collecting all sorts of kind of data. And so we're really looking for a way to present that and relate that with all of the SDGs and all of the impact measurements that we want to see and learn, because we know that, you know, water is the main heart of our cause, but there's so many other resources and educational materials and things that go into making a successful project work, whether that be sanitation and hygiene training and feminine health and reproductive health. So really just aggregating all of that information into one place so that we can really identify, you know, what solutions are working and what solutions aren't working, and how to move forward with that and best serve the communities that, you know, we are intending to serve.
Thank you. And lastly, I'd like to introduce James from IRDA.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Kariuki, founder and CEO of IRDA Limited, a sustainable income social enterprise. I was born in a rural peasant household and grew up in extreme poverty. I'm leveraging my life experience and I've taken the time to study why extreme poverty persists 58 years after independence in Kenya, and how it can be pivoted to create sustainable economic activity and wealth at the base of the pyramid. IRDA was founded to address three perennial problems by leveraging innovation and technology. One is a very high cost of commercial feeds. The cost of commercial feed, animal feed in Kenya is 500% higher than in the USA. Two is a low productivity of dairy cows. The mean average in Kenya is 7 liters of milk per day, compared to the much, much colder UK at 25 liters per day. Then the third one was a poor income for 2 million smallholder dairy farmers and 500,000 peasant farmers. And then we wanted to mitigate climate change. I have 42 years experience empowering smallholder farmers to improve their incomes, including aggregating, managing, and empowering 600,000 smallholder tea farmers to become the world's largest tea exporter in my former position as the Kenya Tea Development Authority. KTDA paid smallholder tea farmers USD 730 million in 2020. IRDA is adopting innovation and technology, the successful proven components of the KTDA smallholder tea farmers business model, the developed and successful tested over the last 50 years, and integrating it with the components from the very successful Amazon business model to give us operational efficiency and excellence in today's COVID-impacted marketplace. Our disruptive solution is training smallholder peasant farmers to grow tropicalized beet fodder for sale to smallholder dairy farmers at 1/10 the cost of the energy compared to commercial feeds. We are establishing market fit with 6-month planting to feeding cycle experiments to prove and gather evidence that prove conclusively that tropicalized sugar beet fodder saves smallholder farmers substantial feed costs and improves their milk yields. We are at the early market stage in adoption curve with 57 innovative early adapters and visionary farmers already planted and growing. We are generating high quality evidence for the early majority mass market segment. We are providing product market fit. We are proving product market fit and generating high quality evidence that the early majority segment required before adoption, from 6-month planting to feeding cycle experiments. We have a big market size in Kenya. Total addressable market size is $183 million. We are focusing on Kiambu County to prove and perfect our business model with a serviceable addressable market of $7 million. And we are looking at a serviceable obtainable market of $2 million in 3 years' time. A dairy cow in Kenya eats 1 kilogram of dairy milk, costing $0.5 to produce 1.5 liters of milk that is sold for $0.54. A gross profit of $0.04 per liter before factoring in other costs and overheads is neither sustainable nor viable. The outrageously high cost of feed is a pain that is looking for a cure. Our business will succeed because a smallholder data segment has a core problem of expensive animal feeds that tropical sugar beet fodder addresses. It's under pre-existing pressure to solve the problem, is already looking for a solution, and tropical sugar beet integrates seamlessly into feed formulations and is 10 times cheaper than maize. Sugar beet fodder palatability creates product dependency for continued use. At IRDA, we are not conducting impact measurements to report to any donors or impact investors. We don't have any on board yet. We are bootstrapping to break even and to our first P&L balance sheet. We cannot afford any mistakes. We have adopted impact measurement in our operational model to track performance right from seed density and the germination rate on the field to minimize losses and maximize yields, because this is what will ultimately determine our sustainability. We have put together an exceptional advisory board comprising of people who believe in what we are doing, who will be there before and taking products to the market, with legal, agriculture, financial, startup expertise to help us build a team and execute well. They possess the relevant skills that I don't have and want to be involved in the next big thing that is IRDA. For us, impact measurement is the blood that will keep us alive, because we don't have grants, we don't have impact investors, we are bootstrapping and we cannot afford to go wrong. We must prove our concept, we must generate high quality data, and we must make sure at every stage of the process that the outcomes we want, that is reducing cost of feed, increasing productivity, improving incomes for the smallholder farmers, that it will be attained by the time we get 1 year. Because if the basics at the ground level are go wrong, then the whole project collapses. So for us, impact measurement is going to be a major factor to drive our success in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And throughout this program, you were actually able to create a stakeholder survey using Kobo Toolbox and survey some of your farmers. Can you share a little bit about what that process was like and what you learned?
The process was a learning experience from day one. We were able to look at very minute details of what makes businesses run, what creates impact, what will not create impact, how to measure it, and how to be able to measure it and compare it with other items from other business models at par. We were able to align our business with the Sustainable Development Goals, Gene Iris 2. We were able to take our survey template to the ground, and we discovered that it's very sad that smallholder farmers don't keep any records. And for us, we need to co-create data and measure impact and use the same metrics with the smallholder farmers. So what we have done right now is to integrate the survey template as one of the inputs that we give to the smallholder farmers right from the word go. We explain everything, what we take records of the prior condition, or what is existing, and then we train them and walk them through to what we will be looking for from them as they progress, because we are not going to wait for 1 year to assess whether we are on the right track or not, because if we veer off the right track, we cannot afford it. So we are going to first say, for example, we have a menu now on seed density per square foot. Then we are looking at achieving a germination rate, because we are planting seeds with tropical and sugar beet. A germination rate of minimum 97%, because if we don't achieve that, then our output is going to be very poor, and we will not achieve the desired outcomes we want.
Thank you, James. So data collection is very important and oftentimes intimidating and requires a lot of resources, but through this program, we're really trying to support entrepreneurs to run small surveys to get feedback from their key stakeholders as soon as possible. And can you share a little bit about what you learned from the surveys you ran from this program?
For us, since we are onboarding small-scale farmers progressively as they come, it's actually a random process. What is happening is that the learnings we learned from the earlier farmers, we are applying it to the latecomers to improve their productivity. For example, we used to assume that their fields are healthy, but we have discovered most of their soils are acidic. So we have integrated agricultural line into our standard kit. We used to assume that they know the planting depth, because planting depth, seed placement determines a lot of the outcome on productivity. We have discovered we have to train these farmers and learn and relearn again the practice of good agricultural practices, so that they achieve the desired outcomes. So that is continuously evolving, and we are continuously now looking at adjusting our survey template to factor in the new learnings, because we are learning every day. It's a continuous process. It's not something that you set up a program and then you key in data at the end of the year. You may be keying in useless data. Again, we found out that if you don't inform the stakeholders that you're going back to collect survey data, they'll be hesitant. They are actually hesitant to tell us their incomes prior to the project, because they don't like even their spouses knowing how much money they are holding. They are sensitive, telling us how many times they go to bed hungry, because that is culturally taboo. They don't want to expose their poverty. So we have to find a way of getting that data through formulas or from production data or from their cooperative societies. But
Thanks,
the minute
I want to give Anna a chance to share a little bit about her learnings from surveys as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Actually, we were able to carry out the survey, and we had major key learnings, of which they were very crucial to us. And thank you so much, Miller Center and Sopact. We have been able to, because at the moment we can now be able to quantify our impact by being able to analyze and capture the right metrics because previously we were capturing metrics that actually do not even matter to us and are even unmeasurable and quantifiable. And this has been a very great achievement because even right now we are able to align our work with the Sustainable Development Goals, and also more importantly, the key 5 dimensions of impact of who, how, what, risk, and the contribution. It has been also an opportunity to be able to understand much better the need and positive impacts of our services, because previously actually we thought we were achieving it all, not until we had it rightly from the customers and we got to know the real positive impact that was that mattered a lot to the clients. We have also stopped just counting numbers so that we are able to collect satisfaction surveys. And I think satisfaction to our clients, our home users, matters more than the numbers we were measuring, because previously we were measuring the number of trees we are saving for every home that we build. We were measuring the number of workers we employ per home that we build, and of which some of these were not realistic. Yes, and some of these metrics like carbon emissions that we are saving were not even in our reach. We were not even able to quantify properly how many carbon emissions we were able to save. So satisfaction surveys have also been a very key learning, and because this has also helped us to zero down to our major outcomes of increasing stability and safety of our homeowners. And going forward, this has also given us expertise to collect always feedback from all stakeholders, because every stakeholder matters to the impact that we create, such as suppliers, employers, and this always helps us to learn to do better. And also, it is also a great opportunity that we are going to use these learnings to implement what we have been able to learn, because we believe also words without actions are dead. So all this information is going to help us to act and implement towards the continued satisfaction of our home users, clients, so that we are able to contribute towards the overall goal of providing a pathway to home ownership for the low-income families in Africa.
Thank you, Anne. And Catherine, for you working with an app, you have data from multiple sources. So what was the process of listening to your stakeholders and building and gathering all this data from multiple sources to understand the impact and the work that you're doing?
I beg your pardon?
Oh,
okay, sorry.
For Catherine.
It's okay. So as you mentioned, we are collecting data from all different types of information. We're collecting, we first of all conducted the survey also to better understand our existing clients and what they were needing for their experience and what the gaps were in functionality of our tool, to better understand kind of our project priorities moving forward. And also fill in the gaps of any, informational gaps and data that we should have been collecting that we were not collecting, or vice versa, information that we were collecting that we didn't necessarily need to be collecting. So that kind of helped better create the basic framework for this critical data and sorting and determining which ones were crucial for measuring impact and SDGs and what our clients were really needing in that area. So, we're collecting data from training modules and impact reporting and surveys and maintenance checklists and systems and other project measurables. So just using this tool to kind of pull all of those different types of information is super helpful in, better understanding the impact as a whole and the wide range of, different project outcomes that all of our different clients are looking to achieve also based on their missions.
And how do you think this impact measurement process is going to help you when it comes to fundraising and getting investment to scale your enterprise?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I think one of the biggest issues that we have seen and we experienced ourselves, is this information gap between NGOs and beneficiaries. So connecting that missing link of communication and enabling these rural communities, to get that technical advice and that expertise and guidance on issues that they're commonly struggling with that, the NGOs may not even know that they're struggling with because they're missing that link to communication. So our app, helps fill that gap. And also when the NGO is able to better report on impact and know that their systems are up and functioning and have all of this, rich data set of information and can set like real-time information too of exactly what's happening on the ground. They're also able to, raise more money and educate their donors and, prove how sustainable their projects are. And I think, donors are becoming more and more aware of the importance of impactful work, and NGOs are having to report on that. So I think that, this tool will help them do that and see firsthand that those dollars that they're raising are actually going to something that is doing what it says it does.
Thank you. So as Umesh said, impact measurement management is a continuous learning process, and you've all gone through this program. So could I have each of you share quickly, what's your next step? What's now that you've concluded this program and you have a first iteration of a dashboard, what do you hope to do with it? James, do you want to go first?
For us, impact measurement, we have integrated in our business model, and we are going to be measuring everything we do. We're going to be measuring the effect, how our stakeholders are responding, their outputs, their outcomes. We're going to measure. We'll be able to align our project with Sustainable Development Goals. We'll be able to align our project with IRIS. We'll be able now to talk the language of donors and impact investors, and we'll be able to ourselves use impact measurement as a beacon to keep ourselves on track of everything we are doing, from all the way from customer acquisition to improving their incomes, to measuring their social impact, to understanding how they are benefiting from the project, how they are improving their livelihoods, how we are impacting with climate change, because our project absorbs removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during growth. Our project emits oxygen during growth. So we are going to have a dashboard, a live dashboard that we are updating continuously, that helps us improve on what we are doing and helps us focus even better to what we want to, where we want to go.
James. And what about you?
Thank you. Actually, our biggest next step, this has, the learnings have informed us of our why, and we are now very determined to even engage more our stakeholders so that we are able to improve our product, make it a better product, so that we keep improving, becoming better, so that we lower the numbers of unsatisfied customers that we collected from the surveys. And this is going to help us improve our customer satisfaction, because some customers identified areas where they are not achieving satisfaction, or where which services we need to improve, which features we need to add on the houses. And this is already guiding us on our next project of the 134 homes that we are set to build in the next financial year. And all these key learnings are going to help us in implementing that project much better, but then also going back to the current projects to improve areas that have not been making the customers achieve their satisfaction. So actually, this is basically going to help us concentrate on what matters most to our customers. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. And Catherine.
Yeah, so our next steps are we're actually actively working on integrating the dashboard into our tool. We currently have a backend and a dashboard, but integrating, the Sopact tool to view all of the maintenance needs, all of the community management, better visualize and quantify, all of the overall impact of each project and each community and each organization with that real-time data, as James mentioned, continuously updating and feeding that data back and forth between, all the parties. And then, that will help better inform and quantify key program outcomes and help other NGOs deploy in the field. And so yeah, we're actively working on, determining the technical feasibility of that and integrating our tool with the Impact Cloud tool and just enrich our administrative portal as a whole.
Thank you. And thank you to the three of you for sharing what you've learned and all your hard work in this pilot program. I'd like to now hand it over to Bridget Helms, the Executive Director of Miller Center, who will be moderating the second portion of our webinar as we discuss and zoom out impact measurement and management for the ecosystem.